Hello. So I'm just going to wait a minute here. Welcome to Wednesday, January 11th, live community class. So, hi. All right, so we're just going to do easy breezy, sitting on the floor. You can sit in a puff or a chair, or if sitting on the floor isn't comfortable for your hips and your lower back, you want to raise your pelvis up off the floor a little bit by sitting on something. And it should be not really, really hard. I think sitting on a yoga block is not good because it's too narrow and you're going to have to balance. If there was a really wide platform yoga block, that would actually be really great. But let's see here if I can make this bigger on this side. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna come down, seated on the floor. Try and make everything not look crooked here. And let's try to find just a comfortable position here first. So I'm gonna cross my feet. You can bring your feet out kind of like a long diamond here. You can bring your feet out this way, especially if you're propped up on something. If you're sitting on a chair, that's fine. There's going to be some modifications. I did in the month of October, archived on my YouTube channel. There are the whole sitting on a chair the whole month. So if you want to refer to that, I think it's a little bit better on the floor if you can be on the floor. But let's just find a sense of a plumb line. We're going to align our posture by trying to find a plumb line through the bone structure, right? So all the soft tissue is organized around the bones, and we want to use the bones to stack, having most efficient posture without tensing or grabbing. So we're going to go from the tail end of the spine. Just take a nice little kind of shifting and getting the flesh out of the way, if you will. Finding a nice drop into your sitting bones. You want to find your body weight shifting and breathing down into the floor through the sits bones, and try to relax your lower back with this. So you're just sort of getting cozy here. And then we're just going to settle in center. Feel that the sits bones are nice and heavy and long. Your shoulder blades, your scapula, are plumb lining down through the sitting bones here. So we want to draw through that. You might even feel your jaw and your chin adjust. That starts to adjust through your thoracic and your neck. We're going to also think of the tail of the spine dropping down into the floor, which also may bring you a little bit backwards, or it may pitch you forward if you're rounded and too slumped back. So you want to feel that there's some energy there. And when I say tail, it's not just the tiny little edge of the coccyx bone. It's from the top of the sacrum. There's a density when we connect with that visually, a visceral connection. We're going to breathe through that long tail, finding the sits bones, kind of like a teepee here, drawing down, and then letting that trickle through the spine to let go of the shoulders and the neck, relax the shoulders, and just let your eyes close. Let the breath drop down. Let your breath elongate and release all the way down into the base of your spine, into the base of your pelvis. And you're just going to start to release any external thoughts or tensions. Letting the breath release down through your posture into the base of the spine and pelvis, finding a sense of release and length, starting to release any of those external thoughts or tensions and focus on what you feel inside your body. With your breath, try to find a sense of letting go as if you're going to fall asleep and you're already nice and relaxed into your body, so it doesn't feel forced. Sometimes you have to give that a moment. And then we're just going to gently open the eyes. We'll take the palms together. Still feel that breath from down in the pelvis. Now coming up into your hands, and we're going to glide the fingertips in between one another. So we're kind of using our breath from inside to spread through the outside of the body. So this gives us a sense of, this is how we're gathering our energy, our intention with the movement. We want to build some nice heat and friction here. Feeling that energy, we're going to separate the palms and just find that nice little buzzing sensation between the palms. Feel the breath from inside. Open your palms out. This is just like a nice, easy morning yawn. We're going to breathe through the spine and just kind of explore and expand and float. Feel that you're breathing through the back of your body and finding a sense of expanding into all of the space you have around you, up above, down below, around the sides, behind you. This is also a really nice way to just feel what's going on and gently sort of yawn some of these crevices open. And if you want a little bit more energy, you can feel that you're reaching and breathing and swirling it around you. So whatever feels natural. Then we're going to reach out, gathering energy from the room around through the palms, and just bring that over the eyes. We're sensing that over the eyes, over the face, and then just wash over your eyes, around your face with your breath into your palms. So we want to feel a nice sense of release and calmness flush through the face. We're going to take our middle fingers and just massage into the brow bone. So we're going to take a nice exhale and carve from the inside up above the eyes to the outside. There's a little lift up into the hairline. Let's take an exhale, breathing out. Feel your face relax and open, and sort of feel that you don't have to pull back into that openness. You don't have to make it happen. You're just letting it go. Now we're going to take our index finger, a little bending here, and we're going to exhale, sweeping under the eyes along the orbital bone. So you want to feel that you're flushing along the bone. Do not go into that soft skin eye socket area. You're going to feel it won't be comfortable. We're not poking our eyes out. We're just breathing into this release. Again, relax your face with your breath, with your touch. And we're sweeping around through the sinuses, letting go. You're sort of helping that flush through and lift up towards the hairline. We'll take our fingers, fingertips, and just take a nice exhale, scrubbing up and down on the forehead. We're just gently moving the skin and moving the lymph under the skin.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
The story of my life, sir. Now we're going to come around to the outside of the eyes, the temples, very, very light circular massage. We're just gently, we don't want to press in here either. We're just gently moving the skin, and then we're going to keep on going down. Relax your bottom jaw and take your fingers. Now you can poke, you can palpate into this area. It's tenser, it's tighter. So you can explore in between your upper and lower jaw. Maybe you go closer to your ears, closer down towards the bottom of the low jaw, right? So that's a real big tension spot. Just breathe into this, move your fingers around, big spot to let go of tension, leading into the neck and the head. And then we're going to go above the ears into the scalp, like we're washing our hair, a little scrubbing up above the ears, lifting any congestion and tightness away from the perimeter of the ears. We're going to work our way around the ears towards the back of the head with a little bit of that upward lift, breathing in through the fingertips. So there's breath traveling through your touch here. Then we're going to come around to the very back, go move a little bit up and down to find that nice crevice at the top of your spine into the occipital area. So we want to massage laterally, side to side. Feel that you're sort of leaning against a wall and your palms are the wall and they're breathing and expanding. And you want to feel that you're just sort of decompressing and opening some space there a little bit. Go a little bit wider out to the sides towards your ears, feeling that open. And then let's go back close to the spine. Now we're going to take a circular motion, resting into the fingers, and we're just going to massage, working our way from the top of the neck all the way down. So we're working along those, probably we're only getting the erectors here, but work down the sides of the spine until you've reached the top of your shoulders. Lots of tension here, so let's just breathe into that. If you drop your chin forward, I don't usually talk much about this, but if you, right here, if you drop your chin forward, you can feel one little vertebrae poke a lot more for most people, hopefully. That's your C7. And you want to just kind of massage around that. A lot of congestion gets held up around that vertebrae, transitioning from your thoracic into your cervical spine. And then let's dig our fingertips up over the top of the shoulders. And take a nice exhale. We're going to sweep over the top and just sort of feed that release, shake it off, and then go back again, taking a breath in and taking a nice exhale, relaxing and breathing and sweeping away any extra tension that's held there. One more time, going back. And exhale, sweeping through and just letting this go. Now, we're going to find the breath from the lower part of the spine through the midline. We're gathering. We're going to interlace the fingers, turn the palms up, feel the breath from down in the base of the spine lift all the way up through the midline of your body. So it's not held. It stretches, it moves, it can be a color. So we're just going to wiggle through this line, feeling that internal lifting up, lengthening through our spine, getting some nice release from the lower tail, from the hips a little bit, and just kind of moving things and shifting off the bones a little. We're going to come back through center to bring the arms down, relax the tail of the spine, and let the shoulders, so it's sort of like that cranial sacral idea. The two ends of the spine reflect. We're going to relax and take a nice little sweep around in a circle. It's our Ferris wheel arms. We're going to breathe through the side ribs, make a little window up, and exhale over, breathe in between the ribs and soften down and around. We're going to let the breath come in. Feel that you're breathing into that space between the ribs, into the intercostals, that nice webbing that expands with your breath and around and forward. If you inhale as you go through the sides, you'll feel that open a little bit more. And as we go over and hang, a nice exhale, and then around and forward. Again, so we feel the lateral expansion on the inhale up. And then we feel that drawing down through the exhale as we come down and around. We're going to take a nice inhale, find your long tail through the floor, a little pause up here, and exhale, change. Breathe through the other side and down. And let the breath come in. Inhale through the side ribs. Your shoulders and elbows are really soft. We're letting the scapula just massage around the back of the ribs here. We want to sort of unstick any holding and let things open up between the tissues and the bones. We're going to go one more time. Exhale. And that softening tail, sweeping the arms down and around. Let the breath in as you make space through that window up. Take a little pause up here, and then just breathe through the midline, lifting you up through the arms. It doesn't matter, even if your arms don't straighten all the way. Just feel that you're gathering from the base of the spine up. And then we're going to keep that lift internally, separate the fingers, and just breathe through the hands, circling. We're going to just float the arms around and down and just let them hang. Feel that they hang down off of the chest here. Relax the shoulders while you're still sort of upright, and then just let it go. So now we're going to go through the legs. We're going to let's bring the right foot out, and the left foot, the left knee can just hang open to the side. We're needing right foot flex if you can. If you can't flex all the way, you can even bend your knee and flex. We're going to take the opposite left hand behind the tail. Think of that midline. Breathe through the midline, up and over the tail. We're going to release up and over through this arm shoulder, breathing the chest open. You're looking for a hang into that lower scapula to breathe all this open underneath, and then just relax and change. We're going to knead from one side to the other. The midline brings us up. Inhale. And breathing and hanging, relaxing and changing. So it's just, again, like a nice yawning feeling up. And that back palm is just a little extra help to get over the tail end of the spine. So we give a little bit more lift over and free up some of that extension at the tail end, and then again. So you're just breathing, you're being aware of the connection into your stretch. And that's basically all we're doing throughout this whole class. We're feeling where to gather to open and release. Now we're going to take both arms up. You can separate the feet a little. And we're going to circle through the wrists and the ankles, breathing, little tentacles, breathing and circling around. We're going to make our way down to relax over the legs and just hang. Let your head go, let your hips go. Wherever you are is where you are, even if it's just this, right? Sometimes that happens. We're going to draw the weight of the head over, relax the knees, and just see if you can exhale through the nose a little and drop or release. And if your head moves, fine. If it doesn't move, that's fine. You're just going to let your breath go and drop the head a little bit. You're not forcing this. You're just letting your breath release through the spine, getting into, again, little crevicey areas, like maybe the neck or the low back, down into the sacrum. And then just exhale, hang. Use the weight of your head to sway from side to side. So you're just going to breathe and sway. Not too much shifting in the sitting bones yet. Do a little bit with just the head draping and swaying. This is our nice old heavy elephant motion. Breathing. You can think of a wave type motion through the back ribs here. So there's a sense of releasing through the side, back waist area, opening up those lower ribs that get really congested, leading down through the waist, right? Now, we're going to let this become heavier, and we sway a little bit further, and that peels one sitting bone off the floor. We're not trying to lift, but we're just dropping down and shifting, dropping down and shifting. And then we're going to use the breath through the low abdomen to move the hips up, around, and back, dragging your leg. We're walking backwards in the sitting bones, shifting on the floor. We want to feel that we're breathing and shifting into the sacrum, right? So we have all this movement and breath. We're still connecting into the pelvis, but releasing through the legs. And we're sort of, think of breathing through like your little holes through the back of your pelvis and your sacrum to let that shift. And then we're going to come forward, dropping the leg out. You can have a little bit of a bend in the knee. Think of your sitting bones like feet now. You're going to push down to go over, push down to go over. So again, we're shifting in the bones to release any tension and tightness through the soft tissue. And then we're just going to relax and hang the head over. Find that nice release again with your breath. As the breath comes in, draw your tail down through the floor. So the tail goes down through the floor, keeps going. As you breathe in and up along the front of the spine, the tail loops down in the back as the breath comes in. And as you get almost all the way up, that tail is heavier and longer. And that gives you the support to come up through the chest with ease. And then we're going to relax it. Now from here, we want a little bit of an active scoop through the belly, the low belly. We're going to take our hands like fists. Now we're drumming into the sacrum, right on top of the sacrum, breathing into it. And we're just kind of moving all around. So go a little bit to the outsides of the sacrum. So this is, loosening up. There's lots of cartilage in between these bones here. And they like to get really, really tight, especially as we age. And they kind of like cause some problems. So we're going to go into the glutes a little bit, another tension spot. Start up high at the top, work your way around into the meaty parts that are just holding on and don't need to. And then go up the sides of the spine. Use your breath to go up. If you can get towards your kidneys here, that would be great. Sometimes the shoulders don't let that. And you're just peeling away any tension or tightness from the spine. And then let's come around right into the back sides of the hips. We're just going to bounce our fists, breathing. And so we're a little bit towards the back sides because this is where our greater trochanters are, where the socket has a lot of activity with engagement. And then we're going to alternate. So we go from one side. Now I'm coming really from the back of the hip and giving a nice flush of releasing tension down and out through the toes. So we're sending that release downward following circulation. And then we're going to come around, open the palms. Again, heels of hands, floppy hands. We're going to scoop around the outsides of the legs. So now relax your muscles, get a nice scoop going, release. We're going down the IT band lines, going all the way down the sides of the legs. And if you can't hold your legs parallel, sometimes the hips tense up a bit. Whatever you can get, and use your hands to help your body release through it. We'll come down really, really close to the knees. So right up above the knees, still on our quadriceps, where they attach, we're going to go with our fists and just pat all around that area, breathing into that, letting the breath go. And you can go right on top of the knees with this too. And then we're going to take our fingertips and just tap right into the bone. We want to go right into the patella, kneecap, and feel a nice vibration into the bones. And so this is waking up our nervous system, right? So when we walk, the vibration feeds into the nerves, feeds into the muscles. Everything is a process. Sound is super, super important. And then we're going to come down the shin bones, just tapping and waking up and breathing into that. So just becoming aware of this lower end of your body. Go all the way to your ankles. Breathe into that tapping, coming back up your shins again. And then we're going to lean back. Let's use our heels of our hands and flush down from the hips all the way to the knees. So this is that long, deep quadricep release. So we want to follow the shape of the legs. Of course, it feels, a lot of people say it feels lumpy when I do this because your muscles cross and they're not just straight. So you want to feel that that's okay. You let go of the muscles and just do a good amount of pressure here. That this femur bone is really thick. It's your thickest bone in the body. So you want to just really, you can go in there and use it to push against. And then we're going to come down, loose floppy hands again. On the outside of the shins here, the peroneals, we're just kind of fluffing and bouncing off the outside and breathing into that, releasing any tension that's being held between the knees and the ankles. These guys don't get stretched. They're super stabilizers. So we just want to breathe into letting something flow there. Feels really good. Unless you have shin splints, this does not feel good. You can do this actually if you have shin splints. Go super, super, super light, not a lot of force, but you can just sort of pat, even just touch, right? It doesn't, that's fine. So now go by how you feel. We're going to bring the feet back, let your knees hang, use the tops of the hands. We're going to flush down the inward line of the legs from the hips in a downward motion. This is a little bit more tender maybe here. So go a little carefully, but just feel that there's a release along this inner thigh, the adductor lines. We're flushing down towards the knees. And then we're going to just flex our heels, flex our feet a little bit to give a slight engagement through the calves. Take your fist, take a breath, and you're going to drop down into your calves. Your calves may shake a little bit. If you really relax your feet, it feels different. You can play around with what feels good. Probably not as much force if you're relaxing your feet because the muscle, it's softer. So if you flex, you probably can get a little bit more. If you're feeling really sore or tight here for some reason, you can do these lower drops with more repetition, just kind of breathing and getting that release to come through. This is a lateral shake, which is different than all the vertical stretching we do with our calves, and just a little, it feels good. We're going to come down low into the lower part of the calf, the soleus and the Achilles, and just kind of padding through that, waking that up. Some people have really long Achilles, I find, and there's a lot of non-function because we have to find our true engagement through what your joints can do and how long everything is, or how not long. Now we're going to take the hands back behind and just shake the legs out on the floor. We do a nice little wiggle in the tail, releasing through the hips and the shoulders, releasing behind the knees. So we're going to take the right knee up, inhale. We're going to start the exhale. Feel a nice little gathering through the low belly. Then release your leg down and out. Don't try to throw your leg into the floor. So we want to feel the length, like you're like a slip and slide. You're sliding your leg out along the floor. Exhale, and then change, and again. So your breath gives you some engagement through your center so that you can let go more efficiently through the leg, right? Because if we just let the leg go, it doesn't teach the body anything. So it doesn't, your body is always going to look, your brain looks to stabilize before there's a movement. So you want to feel that you're giving that option before you let go. And again. So a lot of times, especially if you come from a dance background, there's major focus on what the movement, what the shape is. But there are some teachers that give focus on what's not moving. So all the parts that are not moving are more important. So we're going to just relax and hang. And then the movement part is just sort of a reaction, which is why it's so amazing. So we're just kind of gliding in and out, doing little taps. Now, if you want to do a bigger tap with your breath gathering, you can hang and do your breath, little explosion breath. And again, or you can just do little taps in and out, and you feel that nice little turning in your hip sockets come through. Then we're going to bring our feet back in, relaxing through the feet and the ankles, and we're going to just do a nice rolling, massaging ankle roll. You're focusing and breathing into your feet a little bit here, and just letting things kind of mush up. We're going to relax our feet on the floor and take your fingertips to massage into that inner heel ankle area underneath your ankle bone. So this is the adduction line of the foot into the arches here. And so we're just kind of lots of tendons and ligaments, everything crosses over here. So we want to, that curve in your heel, you can kind of massage and dig there. That gets a lot of movement throughout the day, or maybe it's not getting its fullest function and you want to open that up a little bit more. Then we're going to flush through the inner part of the arch here. Now, I don't usually focus so much on this, but let's do that today. You're really kind of, it's like you're scrubbing and massaging and breathing into that. You can go all the way up towards your big toe on this inner line of the foot. This is where a lot of us start to roll in and collapse, right? And so even just doing this brings some neurological awareness. And maybe when you stand up, this will be a little more active for you without thinking about it. We're going to go underneath the feet. Use your thumbs now and just massage into the soles. Let's start towards the heels and just kind of mush around here, breathing into it. Do whatever feels right for you. I'm really trying to let go of the tension in my feet while I'm doing this and try not to let my foot become active. So all these little metatarsal release openings go underneath the balls of your feet and just kind of massage where your toes start to stem from. So that gets really tight. Then hold underneath your feet. Underneath, you're going to hold your toes open wide. We want spaces in between the toes. Relax the feet and just breathe into that space through the toes. It feels really nice, right? So now we're going to release. Let's do a nice doming walk through the feet. We're going to bring our hands back behind. Now we have a little scoop under through the tail. Feel like the outside of the hips and the sits bones gather and scoop under. Your hands you're just sort of resting, and it feels like you're slouching, but you're really scooping through the abdomen. We're going to breathe into the midline, down through the low legs. We're going to exhale and walk. Heel, ball of the foot, toes. Your toes reach out and we pull forward so we get a nice dome in the foot. If you have especially really high arches, melt your arches into the floor. Try not to feel them react and pull up. Feel that they expand and release, because that's what that kind of arch really needs. Once you get too far away, reverse with your toes going over. Check out the shape there. Make sure it's a nice even dome. Relax your arches and draw your heels back. It's like you're dragging through sand. Over. Exhale, breathe the arches into the floor. We're not trying to make an arch in the foot. We're trying to, the doming is over the balls of the feet. That's the part that gets weaker and kind of messes things up a lot. If you've ever had a dropped metatarsal or a hammer toe, it's sometimes called, That's where this becomes weak. And it's because when one starts to go funky, they all react. Now we're going to go forward again. Exhale. So you feel a connection from your center traveling down through, out through the toes. Exhale. So you're very aware of that control through the end points, those distal points of your feet and toes. And then just relax, shake it out. We're going to bring the feet back into wherever you're comfortable, the cross, the diamond, feet out, and just find a nice massage up around the sides of ribs. Take a deep breath in, feel like a balloon expanding your chest cavity up. And release. So we're getting a nice flush here, moving the lymph around, and then coming down right into the front of the hips and just sort of touching in there, breathing into that a little bit. We're going to come up right into the center of the chest, right into the sternum, at the lower part of the sternum, a little scrubbing up and down. Exhale, releasing tension there that you probably didn't know even existed. And then we're going to sweep down from the ribs into the pelvis, just a nice sweeping motion. And then we'll go underneath the sides of the ribs, breathing into that space a bit, opening that up and coming back through center, under the other side. We're going to come back through center, relax the shoulders, relax the head over to the side, and take your opposite hand to massage into the front of the shoulder. And think of this as, again, flushing through the lymph, lots of lymph here, moving things around a bit and breathing into that. And then you can target a little bit more too. There's a lot of tension spots, especially where the clavicle comes through into the front of the shoulder. We really get, you can sort of focus closer to the bone if you want, and you can move your head around too. So lots of different, you can just, do what feels good. And then we're going to relax and change to the other side and just start to breathe into starting with the flush through the lymph area, and then let yourself find where you need to go. It's interesting because we don't really, it would be amazing if this was part of our culture, right? To really just know our bodies at this level every day. I mean, imagine what would happen if people actually knew by touching their own self in their joints and breathing. I mean, there's just so much more information that you find without realizing it. And then you could communicate that, right? Now we're going to relax and take a nice exhale. We do a nice little drop over top of the shoulder and exhale. So not only are we dropping over the top of the shoulder, but we're getting some breath and release. You can think of the breath getting into your upper back ribs, and your lungs are all the way up there, right? So you're sort of knocking some release into that area. Maybe it's just a sense of becoming aware there. It's a pat. It's not a throw. It's not a karate chop. I know, it's really tense here sometimes. Maybe your head doesn't go over to the side so much. Relax. Now let your tail release. Tail drops under. We're going to feel the breath from the base of the spine come in and up. Feel the breath inside lift you through. We're going to inhale. Your tail goes down as the breath comes up, making space between each little vertebrae until you have to let go. Keep that lift. Let the arms release. So there's a sense of dropping open and wide. And now we're going to let the tail soften. Gather that breath again, letting it in, drawing it up. Feeling that space and lift, keeping it as we exhale. Let it go. One more time. Soften the tail. Gather the breath. So your breath gives you space and stretch and release, and then we let go. Now we're going to shake it all out. So feel the breath through the upper back ribs, release down through the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, all the way down, especially those forearms into our wrists and hands here. And just letting that release, that muscle shaking off the bone quality. Letting your head hang over. And then when you feel that fuzziness all the way down into your hands and your fingers, we're going to interlace the fingers and just do a nice, relax your shoulders here. Nice little compression release. You can shear the heels of your hands a little forward and back with this to get some change in the squeeze. So we're just kind of feeling, again, like we did with our feet, we're feeling some space in between our fingers. And then without tensing up your shoulders, relax your wrists and just glide around. Let your breath guide you. So there's an exhale, release. Let the momentum move through this release in your wrists. And try not to make it happen. That's the opposite of what we want to do. Now we're going to reverse it. Go the opposite direction your brain chose for you. And taking your fingers apart from the center of the palm, inhale, breathe open, exhale, squeeze the fingers in. So we're not squeezing, we're thinking of the center of the palm expanding and the center of the palm pulling in. Inhale and exhale. So it feels very different through the fingers when we work this way, when we have this sort of visceral connection. Instead of feeling we're just going in and out through the fingertips, right? And especially if you have some arthritis in there, it doesn't exercise all the way through. So we want to feel, and it also could pull back in certain areas that don't feel good. So we want to feel that there's a soft opening and then a soft collecting in. Now from here, we're going to do our squeezing breath. From the base of the spine, same concept. We're going to let the breath come in and feel the body expand up. We're going to take a long squeezing exhale from here, from the dantian, and squeeze through the distal points, the fingertips, the toes, the eyes. You're using this exhalation to squeeze out anything negative, physical or emotional, using your breath to release through these meridians, making space for new things to come in till you don't have any more breath left. As the breath comes in, feel that expansion float you up. And then again, start through the dantian and go through the fingertips, toes, and eyes. Until the breath comes in. Whatever your pace is, just go with that. Try to feel that for yourself inside your own body. So, I mean, I've been doing this for like a gazillion years. So it has taken me a long time to really feel the deepening of my breath connect through the body. So it's an endurance that you have to work on, just like anything else. The expansion inhale floats you up. On this last one, we're going to exhale, but this time we're gathering light new energy through the fingertips and toes and using the breath to draw that new energy into our center, enveloping it. And just letting go of anything that was holding on there. Let's interlace the fingers. We're going to bring our hands right again to the very bottom of the head, top of the neck. It doesn't matter where your elbows are. They don't have to be wide. And just find here that you're breathing through the back of your head into your palms and find that sense of dropping through the tail end a little bit. You don't have to do anything by pulling it down, but feel gravity. Let your body adjust. You have a nice safe hold with your hands through the head. And you can feel the relationship, those micro even adjustments between the tail and the crown. Maybe you feel something uneven in your hips as well. So you can start to realize how much the spinal alignment, especially through the low back here, plays through our pelvis and our hips a lot. We're going to breathe through that. Imagine that you're in a hammock or against a wall, finding that breath, releasing through the jaw and the chin. And using your breath to sweep the palms, give yourself a little bit of traction as you breathe up, sweeping and opening that lift through the crown of the head while your tail is really dropping down. So now from here, we're not going to do the vision scan today, but we'll come around onto our hands and knees, and we're going to just go through a nice little breath motion to work our way up to standing. So we have this balance, standing on all fours, if you will. We have the knees and the heels of the hands. A lot of people have tension in the wrists. You can give yourself a pillow. You can go on your knuckles, your first two knuckles here, but let's just try and find that drop in our shoulder blades. So sometimes we get in this position and the shoulders are hiked up. You don't realize it. And just sort of be here. Try not to lift your head up forward too much, and just feel that your shoulder blades drop down into a comfortable place, not a squeeze. And there's a plumb line down through the heel of the palm. You can shift your body weight a little, and it should feel easier and more efficient in placing yourself there. So because you're balanced. So now we're going to use that midline breath through the abdomen. We're going to feel the abdomen lift without doing anything else. Let's not move the spine, or move the spine very minimally. We're going to practice initiating. Take a little exhale and just let your belly go. Let your belly drop. Feel that you inhale, gather the belly up. Lift inside the body, and then let the belly go. Let it release. Don't try to release with too much force. Just naturally let it go. Now the belly goes in and up. And let it continue all the way up to the ceiling until you round your back. You're going to feel the crown and the tail round. You can look in towards your belly and push a little bit with your palms to breathe deeper, to expand the back of the body. Now, we're going to just come through so that's our flexion position. We're going to release the tail end of the spine. We're not doing a total belly release like a traditional cow, but we're letting that tail lengthen. We're going to lift the heels, tuck the toes under, a little bend in the elbows. We're still finding the bottom ridge of our scapula, right? We're balanced there, kind of like a tiger getting ready to pounce. We're going to pull the tail backwards so that we can open the chest forward as if you're going to see your tail up above your head. Exhale. There's a little shift back. We're going to come forward. Breath through the abdomen lifts us up. And exhale, curl. Let the breath come in, lifting to the ceiling to unravel your tail. Think of your tail before your chest and eyes. And then the tail draws back and up. And you just feel you can release through the chest and the eyes a bit without feeling like you're crunched up here, right? That's what happens a lot. So now we're going to come forward. It's all through the pelvis, lifting up. Exhale, you can draw your tail under. You can push your shins into the floor. So with these little add-ons to help breathe and open the back, lifting up through the midline, through the abdomen to unravel your tail, not being too heavy on your wrists. Exhale. And one more time, abdomen lifts, releasing the feet long, lifting. So it's the abdomen expanding into your back as you breathe. We're going to lift. The abdomen gives a little lift to transition us, finding that long tail sitting bone end of the spine. And that's what brings the chest through. And we just draw the tail back to elongate into the extension. So now from here, we're going to keep the heels like this, and we're going to bring drop your feet long. Bring your right foot back, tuck your toes under. Now just wiggle your heel up and down longer, release your ankle, breathe through the midline, and slide that leg back. You're breathing through the hip, the knee, the heel, and then come back in. Find that little connection through the midline, other foot, heel, ankle, and exhale, release. And come back. Breath comes in. So there's some connection inside to let this unwind and open and breathe. And then come in and tucking the toes under. So you feel that especially through the foot, the expansion of the foot. And in. Now from here, keep your feet long. We're going to do the same thing with our arms. Let's take the right hand forward. We're going to find that nice, whatever you feel is right for the feet. You can tuck your toes here if you want. The tail lifts a little bit up and back, and you're just going to turn. If your right hand's going forward, you're going to, like you're laying down into your right side ribs. Exhale. And then breath, the abdomen brings your palm back in. So as we go deeper through these releases and stretches, there has to be, we want to return without tension. So the breath through the belly brings you back. We're going to exhale, find that long tail. There's a little contrast. The tail goes back to release and breathe through the stretch. And the abdomen brings us back in. And it looks better, looks more magical. Find that long tail to yawn through. Abdomen brings us back in. Now from here, we're going to release the feet long. Take the breath, lifting up into your nice curl, rounding your back. We're going to walk the hands closer to the toes. If you can do a squat comfortably, we're going to lift the heels, tuck the toes under. Heels are touching little, toes are apart a little. We're going to push back over the heels, knees can go out. You're going to hang your arms over the knees and drop your head, so your tail and your head are dropped. You can do a little bounce here and drop your tail and your heels down into the floor. Now, you can shift with your hands. Use your hands to shift your body weight to breathe. If your knees are not okay with this, you can actually push into like a halfway hang. We're going to do that on the way up anyway, and sort of like hanging like a monkey there. We're going to breathe, or an orangutan. It's really an orangutan. We're going to breathe and bring your palms closer to your toes and just push a little bit. We're going to exhale, push, and find your heels, widen your feet a little bit more. And then just breathe into that drop of your tail, softening in the knees. And we're doing our little bounce, dropping. So I'm not pitched over, right? This above the sacrum, the lower back, the lumbar spine is rounded. And that's why this is an orangutan, because orangutans can do this really well. And you're just going to drop and drop and drop and breathe. It feels good to open that part of the back. And then just take a nice exhale. Feel that the tail draws down through the floor. Your arms are just draped, heavy. As you breathe in and up along the spine, finding that long tail from the top of the sacrum down through the floor. Think that you're holding a little pencil under your chin as you roll up, and then we'll come all the way through center together. Now let's bring the feet, think of the outside of your hips here, taking your heels together. However close you get, that's where you should be. So you want to feel, you don't want to smash your feet in and then it messes up the alignment in how you hold your hips, right? So we want to feel we gather from here, just like we would do in ballet. We would gather from here to bring the fifth or the first in. We're going to just find that nice little bend, rounding the tail under. We're just going to breathe through a nice rippling of the spine. Let the breath come in. We go from bend to stretch up. And exhale, open the chest and release the arms. A little bend in the knees. It's like you're gliding down to the bottom of the ocean. And then once you're on the bottom, you push and breathe through the spine to float up to the top. And then we exhale, float down, rippling through. And then again, we push down to come all the way through and up. We go up through the top one more time, gliding down, and tail sweeps under. And we give that nice little push right into the floor of the ocean to come up. And just feel that lift, long legs, breathe through the chest, find your nose. Try not to drop your head back. Nose is forward to breathe your chest open, releasing the arms open, and then just relaxing. Hopefully you feel a little bit more sort of light and over the alignment, more with ease. And you're just going to feel that long tail draping and just take a nice walk, feeling like the length is behind your body opening into the front of your body, right? So it's not, we don't have to feel that our limbs are holding back. We're walking from this center release with some heaviness. Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. So any questions or comments, let me know. I'm just going to kind of continue on this winging it. I'm not going to have a theme, but if anybody has anything they want to particularly do a little bit more focus on, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you again next week, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And I just want to mention today, the handle for both Instagram and YouTube is at My Homebody Studio. So whichever one you want to do, you can use the same handle. Thank you so much. Have a great week and be well, everyone. Bye.